another episode of I Wonder, Doctor.
I'd like to pose a question. Are you producing the right amount of stomach acid?
And I think I know the answer to this question. If I've got heartburn, the answer is I'm producing too much stomach acid.
And that is the common misconception. Let me tell you about an esteemed colleague of mine who, for 40 years, he's been testing people's stomach acid production. And what did he find out early on? That hardly any adult produces the amount of stomach acid that they used to produce as kids. This is true of everything. Because of issues of nutrition, toxicity, how you respond to stress, everything gets lowered as people grow older. Hormones, for sure, as we overuse the fight or flight response, and so does stomach acid production. Now, that isn't the issue for reflux or heartburn. The issue is the relaxation of that lower esophageal sphincter. Any amount of acid getting up into that esophagus can burn it.
Right. It's not the amount of acid, it's where that acid gets.
That's right.
If it gets where it doesn't belong,
It'll
that
burn.
hurts.
That's right.
So I would guess then that there are consequences to not having enough stomach acid.
That is absolutely true because, for one thing, we need that stomach acid to digest protein and minerals properly. And you know what happens? Not enough protein and minerals? Well, our hair doesn't look as good as we're older, nor does our skin, nor does anything externally or internally. So, for example, if you're not digesting enough minerals and assimilating them, you can get osteoporosis, which is very common in adults. We need proper digestion. And there's another big one. Normal, healthy intestinal tract has between 2 and 6 pounds of friendly bacteria throughout it, except for one location, and that would be the stomach, because as it gets so acid as it does 4 times a day, it's sterile. Nothing can grow in there.
Right.
Yet, if it gets less acid, you start getting the possibility of common infections, one with Helicobacter pylori, which has been demonstrated to be part of most ulcers that we used to think didn't have anything to do with infection. And Helicobacter pylori can infect the lower esophagus, adding insult to injury to an already inflamed surface.
Interesting. So the lack of acid, in essence, can lead to more GERD, more heartburn.
That's right, because of the infection. You can also get infection with Candida yeast, for example. And there's another reason. The proper digestive function depends on food getting properly acidified in the stomach. It relates to when the stomach empties into the small intestine, and if there's not enough acidic bolus of food in there, it's going to delay the emptying time, leaving more time for GERD. And the other thing is once the properly acidic bolus arrives in the small intestine, it triggers the proper pancreatic response of sufficient bicarbonate to neutralize the stomach acid and sufficient pancreatic enzymes. If you do not have sufficient acidity coming in from the stomach, you don't necessarily trigger the proper amount of pancreatic digestive response. Digestion is diminished further. Moral of the story, you've got to have sufficient stomach acid.
So this begs the question, can people heal this? Have you had patients produce more stomach acid?
I have. Well, they don't necessarily produce more stomach acid, although some of them can recover.
Yeah.
But we can, by supplementing the proper amount of stomach acid, we can bring it back up to normal if they can't restore their own production.
Now, as you know, this is only the beginning. We created the weekly school, and we put into it everything we can think of to help people heal.
There are more videos in this series available in our weekly school. Click to join. It's free.